Before I started this tiny habit, I had a baseline of 28 hours a week of screen time, which needed to change. So, in my SMART goal, I decided to switch out screen time with going to the gym. The reason why I picked exercise was because I know it's something that I can do because I've done it in the past. And I shouldn't be an inactive milking student. The benefits of exercising is improving your overall physical health while reducing depression and anxious tendencies, which is very prevalent among college students. For each week, I would decrease the amount of time I spent on my screen by 3.5 hours. And for the first 3 weeks, I would add a day to each week until it gets to 3 days a week, and it'll be for 45 minutes. For the fourth week, it will be 3 days a week for 60 minutes. For the first week, I was in contemplation because there were people who were on the screens more than I was. But through self-evaluation, I did realize that I couldn't get to the sixth floor of Milken without being out of breath, so I should probably start exercising. Which led me to preparation when I bought more active clothes and set the limits on my phone. And through self-liberation, I moved into the stage of action and reminded myself to just start with the elliptical. During the second week, the pros did outweigh the cons. I felt better mentally and physically. I had more energy, and I can say that I started my habit. The temptations did increase in the third week because my fall shows had new episodes, and I had FOMO, not looking at my group chats all the time. But through reinforcement management, I did reward myself for not giving in and for any progress I did make. I had two main barriers during this time. One, it being very cold, and I hate the cold, which is a perceived barrier. And the other is I caught a cold, which is a real and internal barrier. I did find solutions to these barriers. One was to just put on layers and go outside and go to the gym. And the other was to just sit down on my desk and start knitting a scarf and to make puzzles for work. During the fourth week is when I did relapse. The reason being is when my phone broke, I had difficulty typing and I could no longer ignore the limits that I set, which was very frustrating to me, as well as I didn't have much helping relationships. I didn't have the form of social support that I wanted, which was companionship, because every time I asked my roommate to go to the gym with me, she would say no. Which was okay for most of the time since I went to the gym when I was upset, but when I was in a good mood, I really needed somebody else with me. This being said, I did not make it to internal motivation. The first and fourth week, I spent in a motivation. The second week is when I moved to external regulation because I wanted the rewards that I set for myself. The third week is when I moved into introductory regulation because I would feel guilty if I didn't achieve the amount of time I said I would go to the gym. In the fourth week, my exams were over. I was tired. I didn't want to go to the gym anymore. I just wanted to celebrate by laying in bed and watching my TV shows. Which leads me to my System 1 thinking, where I was on my phone during all my free time, when I was eating, while I was walking anywhere, and I didn't have a second thought about it. And that was very different from the System 2 thinking I had to do during this tiny habit of me being more effortful and aware if I was reaching for my phone when I didn't need to be, and planning when to eat around the days I went to the gym. At the end of this, I did fall victim to false hope because I associated a small and realistic amount of change to the change being easy, which I can say is not. I did have success early on, but once my phone broke, I became very resistant to continuing to change. I did get a new phone, and with it, I am going to do this tiny habit again and try to reach for becoming more internally motivated, which I believe will help me maintain this habit. And also, I want to try one new thing at the gym every week. In conclusion, I've learned that I can do things that I wasn't sure I was able to, like waking up in the morning and going to the gym, as well as the importance of social support. It can make a big difference in succeeding in your goal. And it's also okay to do things alone. I was able to go to the gym alone for most of my tiny habit. And lastly, it doesn't matter the size of the behavior change. It will be difficult, and I will keep that in mind for my future patients.